We're here today with multiple seven-figure entrepreneurs, and we're going to be going over the exact reason why healthcare is actually going in the wrong direction and why optimizing your health has helped all of these guys individually make millions of dollars. So we're going to be introducing, first and foremost, Steven, one of our clients from this last couple of months actually, and his experience with Optimability so far and how it's helped him see different things in his health and business and basically his total experience with that so far. So Steven, take it away.
Sure, yeah.
How'd you get started with Optimability? That's the first question.
I think we just found each other through the interwebs. The algorithm. The algorithm found us. The algorithm introduced us.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the time for like a more holistic health treatment, and then you guys came up. And so it was really interesting the way that you approached actual health. It was kind of a novel thing that I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Having dealt with a lot of the traditional medical system, you see that a lot of the focus isn't on health. It's really about managing symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not preventing. It's reacting.
It's reacting. Yeah. Right. And so I was looking for something that could kind of take my health to another level through data, and that was kind of another really big component that you guys had that was really intriguing, because not only did you have this promise of like being able to triangulate a number of different components like the fitness aspect, but also the physical therapy aspect, and then the food and the data and all these things, and it was like, and you brought us in, you bring your clients in, giving them a baseline, figuring out where they are at their current state, and then building measurable goals, and then executing on those. Yeah,
very well said. We essentially brought Steven in, and then we measured all of his baseline in health. So he already had a glucose monitor, so we could kind of look at that. He had a gut microbiome test done, and then we went ahead and did a blood test and a DNA test and set his baseline. And then from there, with the data that was given, we went deeper into optimizing parts that needed to be optimized. And the parts that didn't need to be optimized, we didn't need to look into further ways to make that better, because it was the priority, right? So then we took the things that need to be optimized, we put those in place for you. And one example that you mentioned was with the gut test, you had bacteria, but you were over-optimizing bacteria in the wrong domains. So then, Ioan, you kind of tell us a bit about what we put into place for Steven and what he stopped doing that helped his gut kind of rebalance.
Yeah, I think this is really where it takes the stance of not just coaching and seamless implementation. Luckily, Steven has a system in his home where he has a lot of high quality ingredients. And what we noticed was he was over supplementing sauerkraut and kimchi, which actually raised a lot of the bacteria levels but never balanced them out. So by seamlessly implementing that into his meal plan, obviously you saw a plethora of benefits from that, associated with like gut, energy, etc. So
yeah, you guys actually, the advice you gave was to reduce that, and it was kind of against what I had known as traditional wisdom. I just thought, okay, I'm getting this, this plethora of good bacteria, and I was eating as much as I possibly could, plus kombucha. So that was another thing. You guys were like, only have like a shot of that, like every other day or something. Yeah. So tailored that back down because my lab showed pretty high gut dysbiosis, and despite all the things that I did for many years, I just never was able to get past like the triggers. I had like really high triggers for sugar, right? Like anytime I would have, so I knew that despite all the work that I did, if I deviated, I would end up having these like responses. And so after that, plus there was a supplement that you guys had put me on. I think it was you had said it earlier. Sorry, it was the Gut Microbex by
Metagenics.
Yeah. And I noticed, by the time one bottle was done, there was a significant improvement. I didn't have the reactions that I did when if I was off on my diet. So I consider that to be like just a much more resilient gut.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So Faizan, tell us a little bit about your experience with how working on health has helped you become better in business. And just for some context for everyone watching, we're currently in Whistler, BC, Canada. We're here at a client retreat for Optimability, and everyone has gracefully joined us for this. So we've had a great time. We went on a hike today, and Faizan was actually telling us about how he started in the fitness world, and that fitness helped you build the mental discipline so that you could be in the work and do whatever you had to be doing for multiple hours at a time. So give us a little bit more on like how that's helped you, how you used health as a vehicle to accelerate your business.
Yeah, so I started off listening to all these influencers talking about you need discipline and all the buzzwords, and I was like, I have no clue where to start.
Yeah.
Like, do I start with business? Do I start with jiu-jitsu? Like, what do I do? So I thought, okay, the easiest way and sort of the least friction to entry was the gym. So I just went all into the gym and focused on getting bigger and like making sure that I could look at myself in the mirror and be extremely like proud of what I'd built.
For sure.
And then through that whole process, I just started building tons and tons of like discipline, because you show up every day, you don't see results every day, but then after 6 months you're like, oh wait, I do look bigger.
Yeah.
And then I took it one step further where I was like, okay, maybe running would be quicker to get better discipline.
Yeah.
So I stopped going for speed because I used to be I used to do track and field, and I just went for time. So it's like, doesn't matter about what the pace is, doesn't matter what I'm like, where I'm running or who I'm running with.
Yeah.
Let me just try and run for as long as possible. And after you hit like the 20-minute mark, I started noticing that, okay, now my mind's starting to give up. And it starts like giving you all these like little cope reasons, and it's telling you all the reasons you can quit. Like you've already done so much, you can say no now.
For sure.
So once I started doing that, I then noticed there was not a single negative event in business that was getting to me.
And
And
mentally stronger.
yeah, it was like mentally I could just break through all the hurdles in business. Even when I was getting declined by clients or like declined by prospects, I was like, oh well, next one. It's like that resilience that was taught to me through fitness, I was now bringing into business. And what people don't understand is that business is actually not about like, as much as people want to put it as skill, I don't think it is. I think it's more resilience. It's like the person who just sticks at it the longest and waits for all the competition to die out because they're like, oh, I'll just go try this now. And it's like, you keep at it and you keep doing something. It's very similar to fitness. You just end up at your end goal a lot quicker than you would have thought.
Oh, yeah, very well said. Just whoever is enduring the most in business is the one who usually succeeds, right?
Yeah.
Huh, that's awesome. And then I know you had a little wisdom to share on the hike today, or I guess plenty of wisdom. You yourself had a little bit of a tumble and a little bit of a setback with the asthma. I'm curious to hear how you can integrate lessons that you've learned from your health and apply that to business, but also like the top lessons you've actually learned in your life and health and how that's helped your business.
Yeah, so for me, like, it's been a long road with health and fitness. Obviously, like, majority of my life I grew up playing all sorts of sports, and then I kind of dialed into soccer. That was my main one, and I wanted to go pretty far with it. I had pro ambitions. I wanted to play Div 1 in the States. But inevitably that kind of came to a halt at the peak of my career when I got a pretty bad injury. And so after that, I just sort of took that drive that I had and that passion for that sport and transferred it over to entrepreneurship, right? And entrepreneurship has always been something that's kind of like, I guess, ran in my veins. And funny enough, I don't know why, because both my parents went to like a lot of schooling and they always pushed me in that route. Maybe because I was a bit rebellious and I wanted to rebel against them, or maybe I was just born that way. But from a very young age, like I wanted to make cash and I wanted that freedom and I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to, like, you know, spend quality time with the people I love doing whatever I love, right?
Yeah.
And so that was like ultimately the biggest driving factor for me, making that shift. And what happened is, in those first couple of years of going all out with business, I kind of like let my health slide. I honestly let my relationship slide too. I let a lot of things kind of down in that period of time, and I don't really regret it, I guess, because I did go full out with business and I made some pretty large strides in just a couple short years. But I think that had I had a more integrated way of living, I maybe could have seen even more progress, and I also wouldn't have burnt out.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning how using the deprivation tanks, where your like sensory is completely blocked, like there's no sound, there's no light, nothing. You're like on that little small floating machine, right? How that being in that state helped you actually grow in all the other parts of your life, and that is a part of health. A lot of people think about health and they think like go for a run and eat meat and vegetables and sleep well, but like how has that part of health helped accelerate your life and business?
Yeah, that's helped me a lot. I think I also live my life in seasons and like phases, right? So at different periods of time I do very different things. And I think there was definitely a phase, or I guess a season, where I was doing a lot of sort of meditation and kind of inner work and the float tanks and all that kind of stuff. And it really helped me out a lot, because I just felt like this sense of, you know, you're in this moment where you don't have to wear a mask and you don't have to be somebody that you're not, and it's literally just you in the universe, and it feels like nothing else matters. And I think in those moments is when you can have like your biggest breakthrough realizations, whether that be in your career or health or relationships wise, because in the modern world there's just so many distractions. I mean, I pull out my phone and there's, at any point in the day, there's at least like 40 notifications on the home screen. I probably get 50 calls a day, like just TikTok, Instagram, all the social media platforms I'm not only using as a creator, but I also do go on and like get inspiration from others. I like to follow my friends and see what you guys are up to. So I mean, bottom line, there's just so much stimulation in our world, and being able to kind of step away from that is where you can, in my opinion, find some massive progress. But yeah, so going back to like the health side of things, at that sort of earlier stage, it was like I really let my guard down. I let myself kind of burn out because I wasn't doing anything. I was just working. I mean, granted, I was in school as well, so there was a lot on my plate, but at the end of the day, you don't have any excuse to make. You always have time to get on the floor and crank out some push-ups or go for a run or just the bare basics. There's always time in the day for it. And it just wasn't something that I was prioritizing. And then eventually that kind of caught up to me. And I was like, okay, in business, I'm always hiring a coach. I'm always looking for a mentor. I'm always going to like spend my money on shortcutting my way to the next level. And just in life, I think, a big sort of, I guess, philosophy you could call it that I like to follow is like minimum input for maximum output. I like to just remind myself of that constantly in everything that I'm doing. And I'm not saying that, not to work hard. I'm just saying that when you think of people at all ranges of success, there's always going to be somebody who makes the same amount of money or who has the same success as you, who puts in a fraction of the work. And I noticed this back in high school when I was like in math 12, calculus or whatever. And, some kids were studying all day and they had all these tutors and stuff. Luckily, I was naturally gifted with math, so it came easy. But on my tests, I would score maybe 95, 96. And there was this one kid that beat me every time. He always got like a 98, a 99, 100, like basically perfect scores. And then he flexed it on me. He's like, oh, I beat you again. But it's like, who's the real winner there? Because you spent probably 80 hours studying for this test and I spent 2, if that, right? So again, going back to the sort of minimum input for maximum output, if you can achieve that in your life in any area, you're going to make massive progress. And then you pair that with the hard work aspect as well, and you're now miles ahead of everybody else. And so that's when I knew I was like, okay, I got to get my health back on track. I want to follow this philosophy and I need a coach. And so, just from doing a little bit of research and a little bit of looking, there's a lot of personal trainers and just a lot of random coaches out there that, like, sure, they have these qualifications on paper, but like, are they actually in the shape that I want to be in? Are they doing the things that I want to do? What are the results? It's like the same way you probably wouldn't buy from someone, teaching you how to start drop shipping if they've never made any money drop shipping or whatever the business model might be. It's the same with fitness, or at least I view it that way. And I also understand that, there can be cases where, a coach is just focused on becoming a coach and they're always going to be able to coach better than a player ever could. But I personally want to learn from somebody who's walked that path themselves.
Absolutely.
And so there was only a few people in my life that I knew that have achieved pretty crazy things in the realm of like health and fitness. I think maybe that's another topic for just like the modern world and our generation as a whole. But yeah, Ioan was one of those people. I didn't really know Martin at the time very well, or we had just briefly connected, but I definitely had been following Ioan's story, and I think I watched your very first YouTube video a few years back, and it's inspiring, man. It's really inspiring stuff, and seeing what you've been able to achieve. And obviously the thing that stuck out to me the most about you and about Martin as well is that you guys didn't just focus on one thing. So it's like, I don't want to go and learn from some bodybuilder trend head that's just like juiced up at the gym, like, because what is that giving me in my life, right? Sure. When my goal is to be well-rounded and excel at everything I want to do. And even back when I was playing sport, I was a well-rounded player. Like, I was aggressive, I was fast, I was also strong, but I could also run a decent amount. So I think that played a factor into it too, where it's like, I was a midfielder in soccer, so you kind of have to have all the attributes. And I just got addicted to like building up my stats in different areas. And so when I found you guys, it was like, well, you know, you have very high stats in multiple attributes of fitness and not just one, which is very, very impressive, because I know how hard that is versus just going one route and going all out with it, whether it's business or health or relationships. It's a lot easier than having everything dialed in. And so that was the biggest thing that drew me to you guys, and ultimately Optimability in the first place. And then, you know, once we started from there, I saw insane results in pretty much every aspect. And like I said, I live my life in phases and in seasons, so there's definitely periods of time where I fell out of it, but that's life, that's normal, right? And then I came back to you guys, I'm like, all right, I'm realigned, I'm refocused, these are my goals, let's make it happen. You know, a recent example of that is I came to Martin and I said, oh, I want to increase my bench and I want to hit 3 plates. We're not quite there yet, but we've added a crazy amount in a very short amount of time.
for reps, and then you were doing what now, like 285 for one?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been I think I've added like 35, maybe even 45 pounds to my 1 rep max in like 3 to 4 months, which is like pretty incredible for somebody that
we just train in our building gym.
Yeah, just in the building gym, and somebody that has so much else going on and already was well trained in the first place. It's not like these are newbie games. Like,
for sure,
I was already strong coming in, and I came out of it 3-4 months later a lot stronger. And so yeah, man, I'm really excited to keep working with you guys and just kind of keep taking on new challenges. And my brain's also wired in that way. So once we hit these goals, there's going to be another mountain left for me to climb, and I know you guys are going to help me with that, because you guys have walked that path yourselves, and you're still walking it. You're still out competing your previous self and taking on new challenges, which is very impressive.
So you met up with Ioan because he's doing kind of the holistic part of health, and he's been also walking the walk. And so Ioan, tell us like a little bit about your challenges and achievements, and kind of give us the rundown. You know, I know you have a long story, but
the long story short, I'd say it started when I was born. So I had some real complications with my leg, and I spent around 18 years in active physiotherapy just getting that sorted. The first 5 years of my life I couldn't walk, and this is because due to a condition called congenital clubfoot. Super common, 1 in 3,000 kids are born with it at that birth rate, and it's fixed with casting, but unfortunately due to corruption in Bulgaria where I was born, they did operations that I didn't need, and that rendered my Achilles shorter and rendered me immobile for a set amount of years. We moved to Canada because of that, so I'm literally here because of my foot, and this whole journey started off with some of the limitations and frustrations that I expressed learning and being bound by something that was out of my control. I didn't choose to have those operations. I wasn't conscious. I was just thrown into that scenario. And so the biggest thing was really, man, if I can overcome this, and if I can do stuff that's even a little bit better than baseline, you know, that's going to give me some credibility, and that's going to really fortify my mental state. And it just that never went away. So
in the last 5 years, give us kind of the rundown of the accomplishments. How many kilometers have you biked in a day?
Yeah, like 320 kilometers in a day. We've done a 5:04 half Ironman. Just did my first marathon, which was a 3:58 sub-4-hour marathon. Done a ton of halves. Natural bodybuilding for the WNBF as well. And yeah, just a lot of accolades around the board. Super aligned. I'm here because obviously on the data side it's super interesting. On the vehicle side, which we'll dive into because Nathan brought up a ton of good points, it's making and turning health into a vehicle and making it seamless and easy to apply for high performers is something that doesn't exist right now. So I'm happy we're talking about it. We'll plug it in. So
Yeah.
And at least like going back into Nathan's point,
Yeah.
like, I feel like most entrepreneurs don't actually realize like the clear ROI of having everything super dialed in with health wise. So, but they might even be operating at a certain level that's like their cap in their perception, but they haven't actually realized they could go to the next level.
Yeah.
But like at least like Nate, like what have you kind of found after getting everything dialed in with like these guys, operability, like how has that like impacted the business and just performances like just in business and
so for me the number one thing, again going back to minimum inputs and maximum outputs, is saving my time, because these hours have become extremely precious for me over the past few years. Maybe in the beginning it wasn't that way, but 7 years into my entrepreneurial journey, and you know, my hourly time is worth a fair amount, I would say. And so being able to buy back so many hours every single week and every single month has allowed me to make so much more money, and also have so much more time for friends and family and just other things or other interests that I want to explore, which is so important too. And if I was doing all this stuff myself, I would definitely become frustrated. I would definitely give up. I would definitely be like, well, you know, I could just be working on my business and making thousands more dollars instead of cooking this meal, or instead of planning my workout for this week, or whatever it may be. And so for me, again, that's just really been the biggest thing, is buying those hours of time back and being able to use them on whatever I wish. And I always like to think that with my time, I want to do one of two things. I want to either progress my career, or I want to spend time with people I love. And that's literally it, right? I'm not somebody who enjoys cooking and cleaning. I don't have a ton of other hobbies outside of like progressing my career and spending time with the people that I love. I guess I would now consider health and fitness definitely a hobby, because I do enjoy going on hikes, and I do, well, maybe not today, I do enjoy doing stuff outside and playing sports, right? So that could be a hobby in and of itself. But yeah, my point being is that this just allowed me to have so many hours back into either my business or into the people that I care about the most, which has been the biggest game changer for me.
Yeah, and just on the side note of hikes, I know we took Sam on a hike today. We kind of
threw him in the deep end.
Yeah, we threw him in the deep end, and we went a little. We tricked him into doing a 30K hike with us. So I'm curious, Sam, like what did you learn today on the hike? Because I know you were talking outside about how first 5 minutes was like, wow, this is horrible, and I have to do this 5 minutes 100 times over.
Yeah, it was
mental suffering, right?
It's mainly because I don't do hikes quite often. I live in downtown, very similar to Nathan. Typically up in my house working at my desk, so I don't really get a lot of movement when it comes to my legs. I am relatively active when it comes to the gym. I fight a little bit, so I'm also in there training as well. But when it comes to hikes and things that are a little bit more demanding of your entire body and depend on your full like bodily functionality, basically, that one was definitely a shock to my body, because that typically doesn't happen. So the latest time that I went on a hike was about 2 months ago, which was a complete flat hike, about 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, and I genuinely did not expect, 30 kilometers when you see it on text, when you look at the number, it's just like, yeah, it's 30 kilometers. Yeah, well, we're walking anyway, so as long as we're walking. Yeah, so the reason why the first 5 minutes I was like, holy shit, there's like absolutely no way I'm gonna be able to do it, is because there was a lot of elevation. I mean, to be completely fair, there was
there was about 1,500 meters of elevation gain that we climbed, which is like 4,400 feet of elevation.
Which is about what I climbed in total this past year, probably. Like not even. But yeah, so it was interesting.
What did you learn about where your health's at right now, and where do you want to take it?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I was mentioning it to the guys as well, that I definitely need to be moving my body a little bit more, and that's a big realization that I made, that maybe I shouldn't consistently be going on 30-kilometer hikes, because that was pretty fucking painful, but just generally like getting the message. And it was kind of like almost like a humbling moment to really self-reflect and always push myself in the direction that I want to be going. And I think it's interesting because had I been fully alone on this hike, I would not have even made it up I would say a quarter of the way that we did.
Yeah.
And the main reason why, you know, another thing that I realized is that my brain immediately just gets into all the negatives and just starts thinking about the negatives as soon as it gets too difficult. So yeah, being able to push through that without really having a choice, kind of just pushing through it, even though like you're tired, your entire body hurts, lower back pain like crazy. It was an interesting experience. I'm glad I came. I mean, I was mentioning it again, like it feels good. Sounds so bad, but it feels good when you're done, right? You feel very accomplished. I think that's like the best part about it. You know, aside from the views and whatnot, they're pretty cool, but I think finishing it and that accomplished feeling makes it, I don't want to say all worth it, but it makes it relatively worth it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned how like if you had been alone, you wouldn't have gone even a quarter of what we had done, you know, being around us. And that's like, you know, Optimility is great in the sense that you have the data, you have the in-person team, and this accelerates how you can optimize your health. But what really brings everything together is us all being Wista right now, right? Like bringing the community together, bringing all the guys together that are passionate about health, and everyone's doing different things with business. Like you're into content, you're doing, you're helping agency scale with AI. Nathan's also like serial entrepreneurs doing all sorts of stuff. Faizan's content. You're also working with AI and technology. And it's like the one thing that we all have in common here is our health. So it's super cool to bring everyone together and connect and learn about each other and learn about our businesses, sit down and do this podcast and push each other through hikes that are shitty and 30 kilometers long, but still get it done.
Very rewarding though.
Very rewarding, yeah.
It's kind of, a lot of people like to take the route of, oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I don't really need a coach. I don't really need like a team. It's not really about like you not knowing what you're doing. I think it's more about like having someone or a team of people that'll keep you accountable.
Right.
And I think accountability is a big part of improving in literally any aspect. So I think, I really do appreciate you guys all for keeping me accountable, making sure I get up there.
On that note, it's like, you know, we all hire coaches for many things in our life. Maybe growing up, we'd hire tutors for math classes. Maybe as we get a bit older, we hire, I don't know, we go to university, or we hire people to train us how to start an online business model. But I feel like when it comes to health, for whatever reason, people are like, I don't want to invest. I know this shit. I can do, like, they have this ego about them, and it's like, look, you might know a lot about health, but as Sam just said, there's so much more benefit from having a coach. It's the proximity, it's the accountability, it's being able to come out and do cool shit with cool groups of people and network, and you never know where that could take you. But on top of that, you will learn a lot. Like, especially when you work with the right coaches who have the accolades that these guys do, who practice what they preach and show up for themselves every day. I don't think there's a single day where fucking Martin isn't in the gym like twice a day or running up a damn mountain or something. So you will learn things from these kind of guys. So I don't know why you sell yourself so short when it comes to health, right? And I think that's, you know, maybe we could get into talking about our generation as a whole when it comes to health, right?
Well, just before, quickly, I want to put some spotlight onto Eric here. 1,000 nanograms per deciliter testosterone levels. we actually just had our chef prepare some raw steak. And Eric ate it all. So I'm curious to hear
really solid,
more on your experience with like how health as a vehicle has helped you accelerate business.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like anyone with a health coach in general is just gonna absolutely like crush the competition, because like actual entrepreneurs think of every single angle and every single point they can actually get leverage on to actually like shoot them more forward in business. But like no one really thinks that with health. And I think that's where you guys come in, and actually like you're seriously like impacting a ton of entrepreneurs and their performance and their income and everything. And that's why it's just so important to actually have a, you know, a health coach and just like a health partner, essentially just strive you forward in every single way. But I mean, at least the ways that I've found it, I've honestly increased my performance so much. Also just by learning stuff from you guys have taught me as well. It's like, just on the side, it's crazy the amount of things that most people have no idea, but there's such a like big rabbit hole that you could go down to. But yeah, honestly, just literally just more income, better performance, more focus, like better just like well-being, like life quality. like look better as well. It's
Quality
like
of
just-
relationships
yeah.
too, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely go.
Yeah.
I'd say something that you two will really harp on well, which is the vehicle. Like you have so many coaches out there, but I think one of the biggest centerpieces of what we do is we'll install that chef. We'll install that wealth piece that buys back your time, which was, at the forefront of, you had that performance piece, that's cool, but, someone still needs to cook the meal that you need to eat 3 times a day to hit that performance goal. So I'm curious to tap into like what you think of that, bringing that vehicle in and then just having all that streamlined to the point where it's pretty much automated to some extent.
Oh yeah, of course, dude. I mean, it's next level having someone taking care of all this stuff for you at your own home, at your own comfort, on your own time. Whether that's cooking, whether that's cleaning, whether that's organizing the house, hanging your shirts on the wall, going to the dry cleaner, going to the butcher, going to shop for local produce, whatever it may be. These are things that are literally stealing so much time from you, and it's like it kind of gets me like fired up because so many people waste so much time. And look, I get it and I understand it. If cooking or if grocery shopping is your meditation for the day or it's your hobby and you enjoy it, then okay, maybe don't replace everything. But for the majority of high performing entrepreneurs, we probably don't like that shit.
Yeah.
We just probably don't want to waste our time that is maybe worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars an hour on just doing these basic mundane tasks that kind of everybody has to do to get by.
That aren't worth it. They're
Aren't worth it, yeah.
like $20-$30 an hour tax,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that's that. It's not the cost of installation; it's the cost of time lost on your end with the hourly rate that you guys are always at. So that's I'd say one of the bigger drivers as to why we're all even here, because it is to some extent a wealth pinnacle.
Yeah, and I think even if people say they enjoy grocery shopping or like they say they enjoy cooking, it's just like a cope, to be honest. Like they're just like hard coping because they don't actually have the realization of like the upside of like how much time they can actually save. And I feel like they also don't know where to go. Like and that's where you guys
education,
come in.
like knowing what to shop for, knowing what to cook, how much, what amount, what quantity, where it's from, the root origin that we talked about is. Without that, you'll just have subpar food served to you, which no one wants.
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of that, you'll waste all your time serving it to yourself. So
and even like thinking of it as well, and like trying to source it all, like it just saves so much like mental energy and
Get
space.
completely off the task that you're doing. Optimally 3 times a day, right? Like you're getting
it's such a like
you have to completely disconnect from what you're doing.
You borderline waste your whole fucking day. Like I'm not even kidding. Because think about
it's like multiple hours.
I notice this. I notice this in times when I'm traveling for a few days, and it's like I don't have the servicing because I'm only traveling for a few days.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll tell Martin like, don't worry about it. I'm just bouncing around right now. And then when I'm in this place, I'm like, wait a second, like. Fuck, I gotta get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for me and my girl. And then first mission when I wake up is, fuck, what am I gonna eat? Okay, breakfast. Uber Eats? Nah, that shit's unhealthy. Okay, maybe there's some place down the street. Nah, I don't really like that place. And I'm just like spending so much time and mental energy on breakfast. And then by the time I'm done eating breakfast, I'm probably fucking hungry for lunch already. And then the whole day goes by and I'm just orchestrating what I'm eating. It's crazy.
It's like the energy
working out on top
like
of
what
that
people
too.
don't realize is business is all about energy points.
Yeah.
Like you only get a set amount a day and you can do a lot of things with your health to maximize how many you get. And it's like if you spend at least 60 of them, let's say you get 100 in a day, you spend 60 of them on your business, you spend another 30 on food. It's like imagine if you could put those 30 onto business and get someone else to deal with the food. Now you've got 90 points to spend on your business.
It is ridiculous, and I'm thinking it's probably at least like 4 hours.
We've got it
at
down
least,
to
bro,
40 to 60 on average, depending on like commute time, order time, and like all the intricacies he just expressed.
40 to 60 per month.
Per month.
Okay, yeah.
So
That's insane. It depends if you're making like 100K a month, like your hour is worth like
you are your output.
That's like so much money just out the drain, you know?
So finding that balance, right? So that's where we kind of combine the data, the in-person concierge, and also like the chef and the people in your life to really automate this stuff for you, especially as a high-performing entrepreneur. So
and the physical training
and the physical training
and the physical therapy,
the supplement ordering. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Of
It's kind of like if you think about health, it's this gigantic puzzle piece of 1,000 pieces, and sometimes people are just like you know, you hire a trainer or you hire a nutritionist, and it's like you got to get to pretty much everything that encompasses your health, and that's what we do here at Optimum Ability. So if you are an entrepreneur watching this video and you're looking to learn more, then there's a description in the bio to see what we do, see more of our clients, and then how they have had amazing results. And with that being said, I mean, we've had a great trip here in Whistler so far. We've had a hike, spa, we just did cold plunge, sauna, steam room, massage. It was beautiful. But yeah, that's about it for the podcast here. Before I wrap up, does anyone have any last words of wisdom for the viewers?
You won't believe it. It's fucking midnight and we did all of this shit today. And these guys are still somehow like, yo, set up the fucking cameras right now. You guys should see the setup right now behind the camera.
That's the way Optimum Ability does it. You just have energy for days.
I'm Saturday, two of the guests are nodding off. We're pushing through.
So
I'll just say a couple more things of like, I think that was mentioned earlier about like people who have this perception of like, you know, we all know the answers and we all like, you know, have our health figured out. And that was like what was pretty cool, is that's what attracted me to you guys, is that we were on the same page with a lot of our understanding of the books that we've read and the way that we interpreted health, our perspective of it. And yet you guys still brought so much value. Like, even though we were aligned, it was like you guys, as we've mentioned here, like there was accountability, you built a framework, you had a way to get the data, you had a way to put me in the center of all these different components, you know, and it was the first time in my life when I knew that my physical therapist was going to have the notes from my physical training session, and that there was somebody that was like kind of looking at all of these components, giving feedback in order to optimize that. And so like that was a really cool aspect.
Health architect right there. If you're a 7-figure entrepreneur and you've resonated with any of the topics in this discussion, you're still grocery shopping, you're still cooking your own food, you're wasting energy, and you're ready to kind of take it up to that next level of performance, we have a limited amount of spots because we do spend so much time with our clients. As you can see here, there's only really 7 of us in this trip. So if you want to learn more about how we can do this for you and optimize your health, there's a link in the description. Click that, get started, and just make sure you fill out the application very carefully, because we take your health extremely seriously. So we just want to make sure it's the best possible fit and that we can help you the same way that we've helped these guys, and that we've gotten amazing results for these guys and all our future clients to come.